Hello everyone, welcome to our PwC MiFID II YouTube channel. My name is Stéphanie de Maillard. I'm director in Paris in the consulting line of services, and I'm also part of the MiFID II PwC network.
Hi everyone, my name is Laurent Degabriel. I'm a partner with a French firm. I'm also part of the MiFID II PwC network, and I'm also in charge of risk and regulatory matters within our advisory services. It's a great pleasure to be with you today, and we'd like to talk about an important MiFID II topic, cost and charges. Why is it important? It's important firstly because it's illustrating one of the core objectives of MiFID II, which was to enhance the transparency of product in terms of cost and charges. It's also important because it will have a major impact on the way financial products are consumed in Europe in the future, and people will be much more sensitive about cost and charges than they ever been. But it's not only an important topic.
It's also very tricky because cost and charges require high IT implications. For the moment, our clients need to have good specifications, very detailed, and at the moment we don't have enough clarification from the text.
We did not have enough clarification, but I think since the 6th of June, further clarification has been provided. Indeed, on the 6th of June, ESMA has released a set of Q&As which is providing interesting and important guidance and therefore further details about the way the firms need to take on board the cost and charges requirement within MiFID II.
Okay, let's go ahead and see the matter. We will start with a short presentation of MiFID II context and background and a review of main requirements. Then, we will look at the scope of disclosure and methodology. In the end, we will be able to analyze the estimated impact on the invest firm's business. As you know, MiFID II amends existing provisions such as the scope, authorization, conduct of business, and organizational requirements for providers of investment services. MiFID II imposes additional requirements and clarifies the requirements regarding information about costs and charges related to investment services. MiFID II makes significant amendments to the MiFID I directive. These include substantial changes to the inducement regime and the disclosure requirement on costs and charges.
We have presented here a non-exclusive requirement in MiFID II regarding the disclosure of costs and charges. First of all, MiFID II will apply in relation to professional clients and eligible counterparties, as well as retail clients. All costs and associated charges related to investment, ancillary services, and financial instruments should be disclosed to clients. This encompasses a wider range of costs than were previously required by MiFID I. The cost of charges must be expressed in absolute and percentage values. Clients should be provided with an aggregate overview of all costs and charges of the investment, including the possibility to request an itemized breakdown. The information provided to the client should allow him to understand the cumulative effect of costs and charges on the return of the investment. Information should be provided at point of sale and on ex post basis where applicable. Besides, the investment firm should also make reasonable estimation if the actual costs are not available and adjust its estimates based ex post experience if necessary. In the end, investment firms must also declare the payments received from third parties that should also be presented separately. The inducements is another important matter in MiFID II. You can find another video on our channel which addresses specifically the topic on the inducement.
Now let's look in detail at the scope of MiFID II requirements. Under the current MiFID I rules, many of the detailed disclosure requirements about costs and charges apply only in relation to services provided to retail clients. Under MiFID II, the detailed information on costs must be available to professional clients and eligible counterparties as well as to retail clients. As you can see, if the investment advisors are likely to find themselves subject to significantly greater burdens than they were previously subject to. Investment firms will be required to provide full point of sale disclosure where they recommend or market financial instruments to clients, or they are required to provide a key information document, KID, or key investor information document, KID, in relation to the relevant financial instruments. Firms who need to fulfill the point of sale disclosure requirements will be also obliged to provide annual post-sale information about all the costs and charges related to both the financial instruments and investment and ancillary services if they live or have had an ongoing relationship during the year. When post-sale disclosure is given during a regular basis during the life of the investment, it should be based on costs incurred and should be provided on a personalized basis. To promote common supervisory approaches and practices in application of MiFID II, ESMA published on the 6th of June new Q&As related to investor protection topics which provide clarity on the several topics regarding costs and charges.
How should the firm disclose the cost and what forms? This slide is helping us to answer these questions. When providing as a point of sale or post-sale disclosure to clients under MiFID II, firms will be required to aggregate all costs and associated charges charged by the firm or other parties where the client has been directed to such parties, and all costs and associated charges associated with the manufacturing and managing of the financial instruments. Third-party payments received by firms in connection with the investment service shall be regarded as part of the cost of the service and identified separately. The aggregated costs and charges should be totaled and expressed both as a cash amount and as a percentage. Where the actual costs are not known, the firm should make a reasonable estimate. Separate figures may be given for initial costs and charges, ongoing costs, and charges and exit costs. When should the firm disclose the above cost and information? At the point of sale. The investment firm should inform the clients in good time for him to consider material information when making the investment decision. Firms will be obliged to provide their clients with an illustration at point of sale showing the cumulative effect of cost on return when providing investment services. The illustration should show the effect of the overall cost and charges on the return of the investment, show also any anticipated spikes or fluctuation in the cost, such as high cost in the first year of the investment, when you have upfront fees, for example, lower costs in the subsequent years, when you have, for instance, ongoing fees, and higher costs at the end of the investment if there are exit fees. On top of that, the illustration is accompanied by an explanation of what the illustration shows. Post-sale disclosure should be given at a regular basis during the life of the investment. It should be based on cost incurred and should be provided on a personalized basis. It's possible to provide aggregated information together with existing period reporting to the client.
And the firm should disclose all the costs and charges, including the margin built into the instrument's price. The cost should also be presented in an aggregated form and by categories. More important, the costs should be disclosed ex ante and ex post and on a periodical basis. To be compliant with MiFID II, firms will most likely require change and enhancement in IT systems to be able to have all information available ex ante.
The newly published Q&As from ESMA also provides guidelines regarding the cost and charges disclosures. We noticed that ESMA showed its willingness to approach MiFID II with PRIPS and to broaden the use of the PRIPS kits to help investment firms to fulfill their obligations under MiFID II. ESMA also explained that PRIPS RTS can provide detailed calculation methodology for different instruments, thus can serve as a reference document for firms trying to comply with MiFID II.
The MiFID II requirements regarding costs and charges will have multiple operational impacts on the investment firms and asset managers. Firstly, reporting on costs and charges will mostly request the investment firms to update and enhance their current IT systems to be able to have all information available ex ante, including markup and margins. However, investment firms will also need to redefine the compliance procedures and assign relevant compliance body to be able to efficiently implement necessary changes. The existing disclosure material and client agreement will also need to be updated to reflect the disclosure requirements regarding costs and charges. But there is also a new point. These MiFID II requirements highlight the fact that we need to rethink the client processes and how digitalization has to be led and how to collect information from the client. By the end, both PRIPS and MiFID II focus on product cost disclosure, including completeness and sufficiency. However, PRIPS has a clear direction on what exact costs should be disclosed, calculated and presented. MiFID II is less rigid and also takes into account disclosures where the requirement is met under a different EU directive. For example, a PRIPS Key Investor Document, KID, will be sufficient under MiFID II, whereas a UCITS Key Investor Information Document might not be used because it doesn't include transaction costs. Such overlaps between MiFID II and PRIPS will also create difficulties in implementing the two regulations at the same time.
To look into the operational impact in details, we are going to further investigate to see what are the estimated impact of cost and charges requirements on the investment firm businesses. Let's first start with the retail client segment. The guided self-service client and self-directed clients are likely to be more impacted by the regulation. In the short term, there might be limited impact, but in the long term, these clients will be able to compare prices and will be possibly changing banks if the pricing is significantly different from what they are seeing otherwise. So the investment might lose a certain number of clients of such type in the long term. Large corporations are supposed to more heavily be impacted by the cost and charges requirement in MiFID II. These companies usually invest in complicated structured products. Therefore, they will have to gain sufficient understanding about the MiFID II regulations since they present important business opportunities for investment firms. In addition, these companies have strong bargaining power and they will use such power to discuss the pricing, its logic and its level with the investment firm in order to negotiate and obtain a lower level of cost and charges. Thank you very much for watching this video. We hope you have enjoyed it, and if you have any further information that you want to have or any question, by all means contact us. And if you have really enjoyed that video, please like it and top it on video on YouTube.